Well, hello there, Minecraft Bedrock players. My name is Alaydriem, and welcome back to another Minecraft Bedrock farm tutorial with your favorite cardigan-wearing Minecraft character. And in today's Minecraft Bedrock farm tutorial, I'm here to show you this simple, tileable, and easy-to-build wool farm that you can use in your Bedrock survival, server, or realm worlds. Now, before we get into the tutorial for this farm, I want to spend a few minutes talking about the mechanics of this farm and how exactly it works. And as you can see from this little one cutout I have of this farm, it's rather quite forward and really simple to build. We simply have a grass block with a sheep that sits on top of it, an observer that comes out of that grass block and detects when the sheep eats that grass block and converts it into dirt, and then a redstone signal that goes up to a dispenser that has shears in it that then shears our sheep for us. Now, the design that I have here simply expands on the tileable design that I showed you previously and allows you to build the wool farm as large as you could possibly ever need it. If you want to just start off with a few colors of wool for your farm, you can easily do that. And as you grow and as your needs expand, you can simply add on more slices to this to get as much wool as you want. However, I will say that if you are working in a world where this chunk is always loaded where your farm is, this is going to produce a lot of wool very, very quickly for you with just the 16 modules that we have. And with the mechanics for this farm covered, let's now dive into the tutorial. Now, to get started with this farm, we need an 11 by 19 area as shown here. Make sure that you mark out the center of each section. We'll be working entirely within the border that I have outlined here, but go ahead and come over to one of the sides that are 11 wide and pop down a double chest right in the middle. And then you're going to want to place 3 hoppers on top of that chest, one going into the chest, and then 1 hopper on both the right and the left of the hopper that you place down feeding the chest on each side. Next, we're going to add 2 grass blocks, one on each side of our hoppers, and bring a line of grass blocks all the way to your border here. We're going to make it 5 wide, and then we're just going to connect that together in a tight little circle as shown here. Next, we're going to get a redstone torch, place it directly underneath that middle piece of grass block, lay down some powered rails, and then crouch click over these hoppers and complete the loop with regular rails. This will be our minecart collection system. Next, we're going to crouch click on this corner block and continue a line of grass blocks directly on top of our rail system all the way on both sides. We don't want to cover the middle, and this will serve as our platform that our sheep will stand on to convert grass blocks into wool for our farm. And then on both sides of our farm, we're going to want to pillar up 4 blocks total, knock out the middle 3, and then just on that top row, extend a line on top of the previous line that we placed. This will just be a temporary platform that we'll use in order to place down some other supporting blocks. So as soon as we're done with it, we're going to knock these all out. Now, with your dispensers in hand, line up to the right and the left of our red dot we have here on our long side, and then place a dispenser facing down every other block. You should have a line that looks just like this. And then once that's done on both sides, you can go ahead and knock out that temporary support grass block structure that we have on top. And if you've done this correctly, you should have a dispenser on the last block of our grass line here. Again, just go ahead and knock those temporary blocks out of the way. We are not going to need them. Next, on our bottom row of grass blocks, we're going to want to repeat the process with observers with the dot facing out from our grass blocks. And we're going to want to have those directly underneath and behind our dispensers. And then directly underneath one of our observers, place down a glass block, knock that block out, place another one, and then just extend a line of glass blocks all the way out to the very end. Go ahead and pillar up 2, knock out that corner, and then do the same thing 1 block up and over. Just extend a line of glass blocks over for a temporary platform. And then every other glass block, we're going to want to place a line of redstone dust. Make sure that you do this on both sides. What we're doing on one side, we're just mirroring on the other. And then we're just going to build a little staircase pattern here with the corner intact, and just continue this little staircase pattern all the way to the very end. And once you're at the end, you're just going to want to complete that redstone dust line all the way up to each of our dispensers so that they can each fire independently. And as you can see here, we'll have a nice little staircase pattern that just brings a redstone line all the way up from our reservoir to our dispensers. And then once you have that done on one side, again, just repeat the entire process on the other side. Now with the sides done, we just need to fill in the rest of this area. Make sure you use grass blocks here. Grass is the only way this farm works because grass needs to grow from another block. And then in the middle here, you can either put grass, or if you want to have a nice little decorative walkway, you can place down a decorative stone like sandstone. Next, we're going to want to build walls on each side of our farm as shown here. These are going to be the containment cells for each of our sheep that we're going to need to drag in here. Make sure you build this 3 high, and then every other block again, just build 2 high. Make sure that we have enough room to get our sheep in. You only need 1 block for a sheep to walk in here. And the best way that I recommend to bring one in here is to either use a lead and just drag it towards you, or if you're having trouble getting that sheep to follow you, you can simply get some wheat and that sheep will just follow you right in. You can then mosey on around it while it's following you and then just kind of push them in. And then once you have that sheep in the spot you want to add them in, go ahead and place down 1 glass block to prevent them from jumping. Because of that dispenser being on top of them, they won't be able to jump over that. Now, depending upon what you need in terms of colors, all you need to do next is to dye your sheep whatever color you want. If you want to have one of every color of sheep, you can just create 16 cells here, and that will give you enough room for all the current dyes as of 1.18 plus 1 Jeb sheep that will be rainbow for you to look at, but will produce whatever color it was before. If you just need a lot of red wool, or you need a lot of blue, or you need a lot of white, simply just dye all of your sheep that one color and you will have all the wool that you need just in that color. Once you are satisfied with the color of all your sheep, simply place a glass block in front of them. This is mainly to keep the wool from bouncing out of the farm. You don't necessarily need it, but I found it useful. And then once you have all that glass down, you want to get hoppers and place them feeding into from the center of the farm into your dispensers as so. This is really more of a maintenancey thing. You don't necessarily need this if you're running low on iron, but it certainly does making loading up all of these dispensers with our shears much easier, especially once we put our light sources in. But once you have those in, go ahead and place a light block down. I'm using sea lanterns here. It doesn't need to be sea lanterns. It could be anything that give off enough light. You just need this so that the light helps the grass grow. And then of course, once you have all of your light sources in place, simply grab yourself a bunch of shears and then you can just load them into each of these hoppers here. These hoppers will automatically load them into our dispensers so that when our observers get triggered, they will start working. Now at this point, our farm is done. However, if you are having some issues getting your sheep to eat anything because either the grass block below them is knocked out or anything else, you can just go ahead and get a single redstone torch and then place it on the side of each of these droppers, which will trigger the dropper next to it. That will force the shears to be dispensed and will cause your sheep to be sheared. Once you've done this once, your farm should be completely self-sustaining. But if for any reason you find that your sheep has wool and they aren't being sheared because there isn't dirt or they aren't eating, this is a great way how to fix that as well. And finally, the last step to make this farm fully automated is to drop down a hopper minecart just on the rails. And if you just give it a little nudge, it'll roll around the track. That little booster section of powered rails at the end will continue to push around, and that will just turn around and around the farm all day, all night, never stopping, picking up any of the wool that is sheared from our sheep and then dispensing them into our chest down here. And again, if you need more storage, you can always hook up more storage to this. You can have those hoppers dispensed directly down into another chest, or you can side chain even more hoppers and more chests down beneath that. Feel free to use your discretion at whatever makes sense for your world. And there you have it. Our farm is now complete. This is a very simple wool farm design. And like I said before at the beginning of the video, it is fully tieable. So if you need even more wool, you can just keep extending it out all the way you want. And because of its design, if you don't necessarily like having the sheep on each side, you can do things like create an L shape or really any other shape you want. There's lots of flexibility in this farm to make sure that you are getting as much wool as you need. And again, the only real hard requirement for this farm is that you keep it either nearby or in a loaded chunk so that these sheep will eat the grass and then convert it into wool for you. But thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video useful. And if you did find this video useful, please consider leaving a like and please consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help the channel grow and reach more Bedrock players just like you who may be searching for a wool farm of their own. But in any case, that's all the time that we have left for today. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.